YouTube? This your girl Samantha Speaks, and welcome back to my channel. Hey, sweetie squad, what's up, my lovies? Happy Thursday. So guys, you see there are no cat ears on right now, so you guys know that this is a serious video. We are doing a true crime case story. I am going to be talking about the missing girls that the case has now been closed of Ashley Pond and Miranda Gaddis. Both 12-year-old girls, both from the same area, both were friends. So join me as we get into their life and unfortunate passing of this horrendous story. I don't even want to say story, but crime that occurred. Okay, so let's just get into how this all got started. So basically, these girls were from Oregon and they were living in the New Well apartments. It was like, I have pictures, I'll be popping up pictures as I speak, but it was like apartment complex. You know, I live in a housing complex, so it was like a townhouse is what I live in, and it was like an apartment complex. You guys know how they all go. They're like adjoined, or they have a staircase and separate levels. That's what it was. So they were all very, you know, close-knit in the community, everything like that. Unfortunately, Ashley came from a drug family. Her mother was very much on drugs. She had a lot of kids. She was pregnant at the time. Ashley was only 12 years old. She had a rough upbringing. Actually was not in the picture, thank God, because he was a sexual predator himself. Ashley never really wanted to be home. She was always with friends. And with the case of, honestly, she trusted the wrong people. So I'm going to get into how all this ties in. My heart's racing right now because when I do these crime stories, I get so intense and I get so involved in the case that it just shakens me up because I'm going from point A to point B. It's not easy, guys. Honestly, bear with me. But I knew I needed to get this case out because it's been since 2002 this case has occurred. And we're in 2021. And I want these girls' names to still be spoken. I want them never to be forgotten. And that's why I do these crime stories, because I want to be the voices for those that can't speak anymore. So again, like I said, Ashley, she was never really wanting to be home. She was a good student though. She got her grades in, she went to school, everything. Well, she actually moved in over the summer, well, actually the year before of her passing, she moved in. So in 2000, she moved in with a friend of hers, Mallory Weaver, and she was living with her and her father and her father's girlfriend, and they were all living together. She always was there and everything because she was on a dance team and they were all on the dance squad together. They were all just great friends. And so basically all of a sudden she just stopped going over there. And no one really understood why until she came out and said that the father tried to rape her. So it's a very twisted story. But anyways, as I'm going to say, Ashley, she went missing on January 8th, 2002, and she just vanished. She vanished. She left for school between 8 and 8:15. It's a 10-minute walk to the bus stop. They basically cross up a hill path. They go on a main road, and then the bus stop pulls up there for all the girls in the New Well, and the boys in the New Well apartments complex. And she didn't go to dance. She never missed dance. She did not go to dance that day, and she was not in school. The mother called 911 later on that evening and reported her daughter missing, but no one took the case seriously. Everyone thought that Ashley was just a runaway. They thought that she just ran away. She had done it before, only one time, but she was telling her friends how she was so miserable. She didn't like living with her mother. Her mother was always on drugs. She was having boyfriends coming in and out. It was just very turbulent for a teenager, especially for only 12 years old. You're not even a teenager yet. You're still preteen. So, like I said, the police weren't taking the case seriously, but after 2 weeks of Ashley missing and she didn't take clothes with her. She didn't take her personal belongings that she would need to be able to run away. She didn't take nothing with her. So then they decided that they were going to start looking. They were going to start questioning things. Ashley's in her family, she had actually a private detective, and she was like, the detective was not related to Ashley. It was her step-grandfather. It's a big, I'm telling you guys, it comes to a really crazy ending, sad ending, but a crazy ending. And so basically, anyways, Ashley her step-grandfather's wife was a private eye, a private detective, and the family reached out and was like, can you find answers? Can you help us? Can you help find Ashley? And so basically, like I said, the case went completely cold. No one knew. No one had heard from her. There was like false, there was people of hot like tips coming in, but nothing that was, useful. So after 2 months go passing by, all of a sudden, and this is what's so crazy, the news actually interviewed, and the detectives and the private detective all interviewed this one girl, her really close friend, Miranda Gaddis, who was 12 years old as well, kind of looked a lot the same size and built as Ashley, and was in the same dance crew and lived in the same apartment complex as Ashley. So Ashley went missing on January 8th, and Miranda went missing on March 9th. Poof, gone. No one knew where she was. She just vanished. She left for school between the hours of 7:30 and 8, and that's it. No one heard from her. She did not go to dance. Miranda never, ever, ever missed dance. Her mother knew immediately there was something wrong. Her mother was very much involved in her life. She came from a very good upbringing, unlike Ashley. And so, therefore, the police really took this serious. Now, the same apartment complex, the same bus stop, the same dance crew, the same age, same build, something wasn't right. The parents got into a frenzy. They were all freaking out. They were keeping their kids locked in. Buses started not picking them up no more at the bus stop. They started coming and picking them up at the door. People were in a frenzy. But nobody knew who it was. Nobody knew where these girls went. And at this point, they're really thinking that someone has taken these two girls. So again, there's a lot of twists and turns in this story. The police actually decided to go to the school and interview a girl named Mallory Weaver. Mallory Weaver was one of her friends, one of Ashley's friends. Didn't really know Miranda that good. They were on the dance squad, but like Miranda never really went over there and hung out, and I'll tell you why. So Ashley, like I said, she used to live with the Weavers. She was living with Ward Weaver and his daughters, with her daughter and stepson, I believe it was. I'm not sure exactly about the son, but I know he had a daughter, same age as Ashley and Miranda, and they all knew each other. They all went to the same school, same dance class, everything. They just didn't live in the same complex. He actually had a house right by the bus stop. Creepy, I know. And so they had actually questioned her, and she said that she knew when the last time Ashley ran away, that Ashley ran to a spot that was around the complex, but was kind of like in the woods area. And she asked the father for permission, called him at work, asked him for permission, and lo and behold, boom. He was like, yeah, sure, anything. I would love to help the case. I love Ashley like she's my own. And they were like, well, I'm kind of confused because didn't Ashley just press sexual allegations on you a couple of months back? Because in actual June, they went away on vacation to Hawaii. And while on vacation, Ashley had said that he tried to rape her. And that was it. She stopped hanging out with him, and she went back home to live with her mom. And that's when, like I said, more turmoil for Ashley occurred. So Ward's like, yeah, Ashley always had, when things got hot around her, she would need to push it on other people. He basically just explained to the detective that it was just, I don't want to say mistaken identity, because you can't mistake identity, but he explained to him that it was never charged. It was basically, nothing was ever done. It's a sad situation. Nothing was done. So I'm actually questioning what is going on with the DCF and the Children Help Services in Oregon. Well, anyways, again, two girls, beautiful. They're missing, you know what I mean? And all of a sudden, Ward Weaver puts out a concrete slab in his backyard and decides that he is going to pour cement and put a jacuzzi on there. The girlfriend was very curious at first, and everybody was too. And so when detectives and police come by there to say, can we walk around your house? Can we, look around everything? He's like, oh, yeah, sure. Just make sure that you guys don't bother my concrete slab because it's wet cement and I'm putting in a jacuzzi. I think that's just suspicious. I just think that's just crazy that this concrete slab, which, by the way, this concrete slab was brought up right after Miranda went missing in March. It was brought up. and nobody cared about this concrete slab. I would have been concerned because in the end, he didn't even end up putting up a jacuzzi. And the girlfriend was like, remembering that there was 2 blue barrels next to where the concrete slab was. And then the next day, the barrels were gone. And he said that he had to put the barrels in the hole to be able to make the foundation. But the foundation was too, I don't know. He kept making up all these excuses why the jacuzzi never went in. But was the jacuzzi ever really supposed to go there? So again, like I said, in Ashley's family, she had a private detective. It was, step grandfather, but still very much involved in her family. I'm not really good with family trees, so I'm not going to say, well, this was what happened and this is who was through marriage. Just know she was part of the family. And she was trying to find out what happened to these girls. She was working her hardest. Well, she got actually a tip from a psychic, and the psychic had said that her husband was the wife had called and said that her husband was a psychic and was saying that there was a house up around the bus stop and something just wasn't right. Very eerie, and was feeling that Ashley was calling out for help. Well, not a lot of people believe psychics. People think that they're just looking for free money. You know what I mean? And so the case, she didn't even look upon it. Well, then later on, a dog sniffer came out and was scratching at the slab, and the guy had pulled it away because remember, the ward said, you could check my place, you could check anywhere, just leave the concrete slab alone. Why was he so worried about this concrete slab? And nobody put 2 and 2 together. They started thinking that Ashley's molesting father took the 2 girls. Then they started thinking of the other child molesters in the area. Then they started thinking that they ran off together. It was ridiculous how this story had panned out, how the police did not take this serious of 2 12-year-old children missing. It just was ridiculous. And what's even more crazy is that when the private detective interviewed the girlfriend of Ward Weaver, which was now the ex, come to find out that Ashley actually had a sexual relationship going on with Ward. She was sleeping in the same bed. And counselors, once upon a time, right before school got out, saw them kissing when he dropped her off at school. How could you let something go on between a 12-year-old and a 39-year-old man? The man was 39 years old with a daughter the same age as the daughter you're messing around with, and you're the girlfriend, and you see this happening, and you see this man sleeping, and you see this little girl sleeping in a bed that you're supposed to belong in, and you just leave? You don't report it? I am so irritated of, again, how this case transpired. And so therefore, as I said, they never really worried about the concrete slab. The psychic talked about it. The dog scratched at it, and still nothing. Then another person came forward. This wasn't a psychic. This was, I believe it was like a wife of somebody that was related to Miranda's family. And she said that she could get readings. And she said that exactly 14 miles from the bus stop is where the girls were, or where darkness occurs, or something like that. I can't really tell you, but I'm going to explain it all where you can find it. And the private detective, she went out to the bus stop and drove up with her speedometer on, and it came up to 14.1 mile, exactly Ward Weaver's house. How does that not all equal up to you? Unfortunately, and let me just look down at my notes real quick. Ashley was missing on January 9th. Miranda was taken on March 8th. August 13th, 2002, Ward Weaver's stepson, Francis, had called the police saying that his stepfather, tried to rape his 19-year-old girlfriend. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. So here we are again, you messing with, and now she was 19, so she was of age. But again, this is your stepson's girlfriend. Whew, goodness gracious. It says that when doing so, Francis, the stepson, he has said that he believes that his stepfather had something to do with Miranda and Ashley's missing. The reason why is because his father is the one that told him to dig the 2 deep holes. and a jacuzzi never went in, and there was 2 barrels, and yet there was no barrels the next day. They decided finally that they were going to finally check out this concrete slab. On August 24th, 2002, months after these beautiful girls had gone missing, they decided to break up the concrete slab, and underneath it was Ashley Pond's remains. And in his shed, there was a microwave box that had Miranda Gaddis's remains. Sickening. Just sickening. And even worse, it comes to find out that his own father, his Ward Weaver's father, was in prison for killing a man and raping the girlfriend, and then killing her, and then also like 2 other deaths. He was on life, basically. He was on death row. And then, sadly, they say the apple don't fall far from the tree. March 17th, 2014, Weaver's son, Francis, was arrested and charged with murder. He and 3 others had robbed and killed a drug dealer. Grandfather, father, son, murderers. And that wasn't even his own father. That was his stepson. Crazy. Just crazy. And then, this is the worst part. In 2009, Miranda Gaddis's younger sister went up to the prison and wanted to ask Ward Weaver, why? Why did you do this? And she said she needed to put it behind her. And he said that he killed them with his bare hands. I guess he broke their necks or strangled them, and that she was next. The audacity of this man. Even in prison, he was still a disgusting human being. So, do I feel like these girls could have been found sooner? Maybe. But do I feel like the justice system, the children's services, the school could have stopped this? Absolutely. You see a 12-year-old child kissing a grown man. You see a 12-year-old child laying in a bed with a grown man. Something is not right. Something. And then all of a sudden, she goes missing, and then 2 months later, the same bus stop, the same apartment complex, her friend goes missing. And you tell me that's not crazy. I actually was watching and I will link it down below. I was watching okay, if you watch Unsolved Mysteries, if you look up this case, Ashley Pond, Miranda Gaddis, if you look it up, there is an Unsolved Mysteries you can watch of this story, and it will break it all down. Miranda Gaddis was interviewed when Ashley went missing, saying she was praying for her return. And then she goes missing 2 months later. Just the irony of this. I cried when I saw her because I was like, this poor girl had no idea she was next. And how do I know a thorough information? The other day, I was online at the it's called thriftbooks.com. I get all my books from there now, and this was on there. I've heard of this story, but I didn't know the details of this story. And you know the saying, never judge a book by its cover. This book had bad reviews. And I started reading it yesterday, and I could not put it down. I'm so glad I don't listen to that, and I'm so glad I don't judge a book by its cover, because this is such an amazing book. I don't know if it's on Amazon, but you could check it out. But I got this from thriftbooks.com. Amazing, the information that's in this book. My heart and prayers go out to the families. They'll never get their 2 daughters back. I feel so bad for the mothers. They were both single mothers. And I just pray that future, that was in 2002. We're in 2021, that our system takes runaways. And I think that they do. They do missing children. They take them more serious as kidnapped than runaways. That's what I want to say. And I think they do, because I really hear more, like I hear Amber Alerts immediately. They get them through my phone, through my TV. I don't really know if they had that then in 2002. They could have. I don't know. I know Amber Hagerman, she's the one that started Amber Alert, and I don't know exactly what year she went missing. But I knew I had to do this story. It's crazy. I'm sorry if it was all scrambled in there, but I wanted to do this. I knew I needed to do this when I read this book. This story is something that's terrifying. Terrifying. The family knew him. He had a whole bunch of girls always hanging out at his house. He had a daughter that was the 2 girls he raped and murders age. Absolutely crazy. And if Oregon, I'm not saying y'all are a bad state, but if they would have took Ashley's case more serious and not just, oh, she's a runaway, then I believe that Miranda wouldn't have suffered that fate as well. But I need to hear your comments. I need to hear your reviews. Let me know. Did you hear this story? Have you ever heard of this story? And what are your thoughts and opinions? Let me know in the comments. I'll see you on my next video. As always, stay beautiful, stay blessed. Rest in peace to Ashley Pond and Miranda Gaddis. I love y'all. Bye.